right. Hey, everybody. So this is sort of a impromptu, decided to live stream today. I'm not going to be live streaming this coming Tuesday, and I had the pleasure of being able to deal to Brad Owen yesterday, and I dealt a full 30 minutes to Brad Owen yesterday. I also had the opportunity to deal to Andrew Nemi, two little short stints, a couple hands here and there, and it was a really cool experience being a part of this like poker vlogging world. And first thing I want to say is I got so lucky to have a really cool story to tell, because Brad did something that was just truly incredible, that to me went above and beyond what I was expecting. And so I really wanted to jump on here and share that story. And it also created a dealing decision that I had to make, where I had to actually break a rule that you guys will understand why I did it and why I allowed this to happen. But it was a really cool experience, and I'm going to get into all that stuff and tell these stories. And I had a great time being there. I was working yesterday as a dealer for like 13 hours. I decided to stay late because of a circumstance that didn't have anything to do with this. So let me sort of set the stage and explain what the last 2 days were like at Texas Card House, so you can gain some perspective for this. So Brad Owen and Andrew Nemi came back-to-back days to Texas Card House in Dallas. They'd recently gone to a different Texas Card House property, and I think they might be going to more. And here's how it went. Tuesday night, they played in the live stream that Texas Card House does. They smashed their record for viewers in that. And they played 5, 10, 20, no limit with a 5,000 buy-in. Then that was Tuesday night, and during that, Brad even went into the booth at times with the announcers and was a commentator. So if you want to check that out, you can go to Texas Card House on YouTube, and you can go and see that session from this past Tuesday, a couple days ago. Brad was pretty likable in the booth, and the hands were relatively interesting that happened in that game. Brad and Andrew are not necessarily used to playing those high stakes, and so it was sort of interesting watching them a little bit out of their comfort zone with a bunch of players that typically play even bigger. At one point, Brad got up from his chair, and he was in the booth announcing, and I happened to be watching at this time, and he said, "I'm just about to get up, and you'll see I'm going to knock over this tray of drinks," and he spilled a bunch of beer, and then sort of defended himself, saying that the booth was, or the area where the table was a little small, which is true. But so then that was Tuesday. They were on the live stream. And then yesterday, Wednesday, they did their meetup game. Now, for people that don't know what their meetup game is, when these guys come to a poker room for a meetup game, they say what limit they're going to be playing, what stakes they're going to be playing. So in this case, it was 2-5 no limit Texas Hold'em. And then every table that opens up with that limit, they try to sit for 30 minutes each at that table. And I don't know whether they hit every single table that was open or not. They seem to make their way around the room pretty well, so they might have. But I'm not sure if they made it to each one. But it's just a coincidence whether or not you end up dealing to them in one of those. And I happened to deal to a full 30 minutes to Brad. So here I am telling this interesting story about what happened. So let's see. So the way that it works too is when they go around the room, these were 9-handed games, and they actually have people make some space, and they make it 10-handed for that 30 minutes when these guys are at the table, which is pretty cool. It's pretty interesting how they decided to do that. And like I said, they go to the next game, and in this case, it lasted for like 6 hours, 6 p.m. to midnight. They were bouncing around table to table. And like I said, there were actually multiple interesting things that happened. And one of them was truly incredible, the thing that Brad did that I was very surprised by. I just didn't see it coming. But first of all, I want to say before I get into any of this stuff that these guys, especially Brad, Brad is a bona fide celebrity. When he walked into the room for the meetup game, the room was full of tables, and there's only I think there were something like 24 or so tables that were being played on. You could look around the room when he was walking in, and he was by the cashier, and he was doing his stuff, and so many eyes were just looking in that direction, right? That's how you can tell that somebody's really a celebrity. And it was pretty cool to see. And I sort of was wondering, like, what's he gonna be like? Is it authentic vibes? Is it inauthentic vibes? Like, what's gonna happen there? It was actually really authentic. That part very much impressed me, and it makes me feel like he completely deserves his celebrity status that these poker vlogs that he's done have created for him. I give him a ton of credit for that. Very impressive seeing that. And people that were there, I have my notes over here I keep glancing at. People that were there were absolutely fanning out. So the 30 minutes that I was dealing to him, he was already sitting at the table. I think he had maybe played one hand, and like you just saw these enormous uncontrollable smiles from the people who had been waiting. It was 10 p.m. or so when I started dealing to him, and there were people that had gotten there at like 4 or 5 o'clock earlier that were literally waiting there playing poker this whole time, 2-5 no limit, just to be able to be on the table for when Brad showed up. And they just could not control themselves in terms of the amount of happiness that they were like openly displaying, talking to him. It was pretty fascinating. And something I wasn't expecting was the room was absolutely full of poker vloggers. It was almost like a poker vlogging convention, the way that people showed up. Table after table I'd go to dealing, and there'd be somebody that would be vlogging. And I wasn't really expecting that, Now, it does sort of make sense, but oh, look at my the sun is coming and going, and it's affecting my green screen, but you guys are fine. So that was really interesting too. There's a few people that I met, and I'll mention them in a second, but it was really cool to see. Like, they have these little setups now. I don't know exactly what it's called, but there's a stand that appears to be for vlogging, and that little stand, like, I kept seeing them, and then it clicked with me what it was. It's like, oh, that's not just something so you can use your phone and enjoy your phone. That's something that people are using for these poker vlogs. They're doing it intentionally to make it a better experience for themselves. Let me just fix the lights here real quick, if I can. Maybe that'll help a bit. Nah, not so much, but whatever. So, let's see. So the first thing that was really interesting that I want to share about when I was dealing to him, there was a moment when he actually got up from the table, and someone had pulled him aside for a moment. So he missed maybe one hand, I think is what it ended up being. And he came back with a signed Jerry Jones football. Apparently a fan of his that works for the Cowboys came over and got Jerry Jones to sign a football and gave it to him. And he like had it at the table. So like they were talking off the table, and he came back with this signed football by Jerry Jones, and he seemed really happy to have it. Like, he was like, wow, this is really cool. And he was given that football. And of course the players at the table were sort of egging him on to splash the pot, which as the dealer, I had to say that's not okay. We cannot splash the pot with this football. But he said no anyway. He had this like likable way about himself where he's like, no, I'm here to spend time with you guys. I'm not here to give away the stuff that people give to me. This is something I want to keep. He didn't say it like that, but that was the vibe. It was like likable, but also like, no, I'm not giving you this football. This is mine. People were also fanning out for Andrew too, which was cool to see. There was this one guy at the table that was just absolutely beaming when Andrew sat down, and it's a really interesting thing to see. These people who used to just be poker players that would sort of blend in just like every other poker player turn into people that are larger than life in a way. It was really cool to see all that stuff. So let's see. So I mentioned the poker vloggers were coming out of the rafters for this. Somebody named Lex O was there. He's got probably 15,000 subscribers. There were a bunch of really like aggressive promoting guys called Next Gen. At one point, so they were at my table. I sort of said hi to them when I was waiting to push in. I don't know if it was one or two of them that were playing. I guess it was two of them, and there might have been other people that were affiliated with this like Next Gen thing behind them. They were playing at the table, and they were so excited to be at the table with Brad. It was like uncontrollable for them too. But they were also sort of like over the line, right? Like they were saying, you know, Brad, they literally said like, Brad, you might not know this, but this is our meetup game anyway, something like that, right? And he's just like, okay. At one point, they were telling him so aggressively to check out their channel that he actually had to say to them, okay, guys, this has to stop. Like he said it just like that. And they got the message and they were cool after that. I thought that was cool though. Like he didn't just allow them to overpower the conversation when they were like pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. He actually told them, okay, this is too much. Stop talking about your channel. Like he didn't say it like that. All he said was, okay, guys, this has to stop now. And they listened. And I respected the way that he sort of stood his ground on that instead of just being Mr. Nice Guy. He's absolutely Mr. Nice Guy, and he also has boundaries that he honors, which was cool. That was pretty interesting. So, all right. So the story that happened that I feel like I really needed to share today while it was fresh. There was an older player that was a huge fan of his that had been there for hours and hours, and he'd been sitting and grinding 2-5 no limit, and Brad came to the table. 2 or 3 hands in, this guy only had $75 left in his stack at this 2-5 game, which is a 200 min buy-in. I don't know how much he was in. I don't know like if he'd lost a couple buy-ins or what. But he was down to $75, and the action gets to him. I think it had been a raised pot to maybe $20 or so, and he goes all in for $75, and he's sort of like giddy and excited about it. And I'm a little bit out of context at this point. I know I'm familiar with Brad Owen videos. I hadn't watched the last like couple months. You know, I watched them sort of casually. These guys are like hardcore fans, watching every single one of these videos multiple times. I mean, some of these players that are fans of his literally pump themselves up for poker sessions by watching Brad Owen videos before they go play, just to get themselves in that mindset. And it's a really cool thing that he's able to create content through his storytelling that is so powerful for people. So this guy goes all in for $75, and Brad he folds, and another player ends up calling him. Now the player that went all in for $75 flips up pocket jiggities, as Brad calls them, and he's so excited to say, I had to go all in with these pocket jiggities. Like he's talking about it, he loves it. I did not realize at the time, I found out after the fact, I did not realize at the time that Brad had recently been doing really well with pocket jiggities, which is pocket jacks. And there was a lot of excitement surrounding this for the recent vlogs that had come out. But nonetheless, he was up against ace queen, and the player was so excited to have pocket jacks, pocket jiggities with Brad, witnessing him go all in at the table, and he lost. Queen came on the flop, and that was all she wrote, and he didn't have any more money on him at the table to continue to play. And he had, like, it was maybe 2-3 hands into the time that Brad was there, and the real thing that he had come for was not really to play poker. It was to have an opportunity to spend some time sitting with Brad, and Brad was sitting right next to him at the table. And so this is the thing that just blew me away that Brad did. Brad replaced his $75. He took $75 off of his stack and tossed it over to this guy. And like, that was just a moment where this person who had come to the table to spend time with this person who he idolized and looked up to, I mean, busting and then getting to continue to play because your idol is the one that's giving you money in order to keep playing was a truly, truly powerful thing. And so I mentioned there was a rule that was broken that I had to make a decision on. I decided to allow this thing that is not supposed to be allowed. First of all, you're not supposed to take money off of one player's stack and give it to another player. That's not supposed to be allowed at the poker table. And under any other circumstance, I would either absolutely say no or I would call the floor. But in this case, because it was such a touching moment, I just allowed it to happen. And the other thing is, a player is not supposed to be able to come back into the game for less than the minimum buy-in. Again, that's supposed to be a floor call. And, you know, if I do that and it's even in this setting, I'm supposed to say, no, you can't do that, Brad. No, you're not allowed to give that player that $75. I'm supposed to stop that from happening. I'm supposed to call a floor. But I decided in the moment, because everybody that was at that table, everybody that was in the room was there to spend time with Brad, to be there in that moment. I decided to allow it to happen, knowing full well that I could get in significant trouble for that. And I decided to put that on myself and just allow it to happen. I do not recommend that you guys allow that to happen, but I mean, Riff Raff Game says, I'm sorry, sir, you cannot give money from your stack to another player at the table, right? Brad put me in a tough spot for what it's worth. You know, he put me in a spot where, I'm not supposed to allow that. Now, Brad had no idea who I was. You know, you guys know that I'm True Poker Dealer. Brad did not know that I'm True Poker Dealer. He did not know that this act of kindness might get talked about in this fashion. He did not know that True Poker Dealer was dealing to him. He did not know that I was going to do a live stream today. Riff Raff says Brad should know better. So here's the thing, right? You know, I talk about this before. Brad probably did know better, and when it comes to the game of poker as a dealer, there's rules, and it's supposed to be real intense and real followed. But when it comes to special events, and I mean, let's put it this way. This is a celebrity event. This is a celebrity day, okay? The focus of all of this stuff was on Brad and Andrew, but especially Brad. Brad is by far the more popular of the two. And whenever you have a game like this, you know, if you've ever dealt a private game, there's a different feel to it. Sometimes people can bend rules like this in order to keep people happy. Well, when something like that happens and the celebrity of the house decides to do a really kind thing for somebody, I actually think it makes more sense for me. I'm not saying that you know, other dealers would make sense to do this. I think he's sort of lucky that it was me there, because I'm going to defend this action that I allowed to happen under this rare circumstance where everybody at the table just wants to be spending time with Brad anyway. And I'm certainly not going to force this player to miss time with his idol. I think, listen, I 100% think that in this one rare circumstance, it actually made sense for me to let this go and sort of risk my job. But I am risking my job for what it's worth. But yeah, I thought it was really cool that he did that, and I had no issue with him doing that. I mean, it's a really powerful gesture. I was actually, proud's not the right word, because who am I to be proud of Brad Owen? But there's a feeling of he gets it that I had that felt overwhelming when I watched him do that for this person that was his fan. I mean, there's a powerful thing that happened there. You know, I talked about this in my last live stream. We sometimes can think as poker dealers that every single thing matters so much. It's money, it's all important, but we're not really risking any lives with this job. We're not really out there, you know, we're not brain surgeons. We don't have the stress of people's lives at stake. And poker is really all about people. And at the end of the day, this event with everybody in this room that's all there to basically spend time in this meetup game, the vibe is it's all about the people. It's about people being there, spending time with somebody that they would never get to spend time with in any other circumstance. And it is about the people in this case. Now, Riff Raff asks a good question. If another player at the table objected, then what? Well, then I just call the floor, right? Like, then I just say, this happened. I just explain it verbatim, right? But when I tell you that this was not the type of thing where anybody was going to object to that, like, it could not be more true. The most true thing in the world is that there wasn't a single person in this entire room that would have objected to Brad doing that. His energy and vibe was just so positive, and it was very clear from the second he walked into that room that this was something, that this guy is a special guy. You know, he was a nobody for years, and he earned his way into this charisma where people genuinely like him. It was a really, really cool moment. And this wasn't even my favorite moment at the table. This was an absolutely beautiful, amazing moment. My favorite moment while I was dealing at the table, this was really, really funny. So this table was a 10-handed table while Brad was there, but normally it was 9-handed. Greg says, hello, Brad. Well, Brad's not watching this right now. He's not here right now, but it was a really, really cool story that I just shared, I feel like. But, I mean Marc, silly me. Yes, exactly. By the way, Greg, I saw when you asked Brad a question as an up-and-coming poker player, and you sent the $5 super chat to Texas Card House during that live stream. That was cool, and it was really cool that he answered that so nicely. Captain Underpair says, I agree with you, Mark. I appreciate it. Yeah, listen, in this setting, poker, this type of a poker event, this meetup game with these celebrities is about people more than the rules of poker until somebody objects, like Riff Raff said. Also, your managers in Minnesota might not have allowed something like this to happen. It's a different vibe. At Texas Card House, I feel like, at least me specifically, with some of the weight that I carry in decision making, I feel like I can get away with this, and I also completely risk the fact that I might get in trouble for allowing Brad Owen to take $75 off his stack of like $2,000 and give it to a player that had just busted for $75, playing jiggities and making himself real happy. But my favorite moment of this entire session was, so there's a dual rate dealer supervisor that works at Texas Card House, and his name is Jay, and I have so much love for Jay. All right, when I first met Jay, it was the first day that I worked at Texas Card House, and man, he is such a hard working guy. He earned his place as a supervisor. He grinded 70 hours a week dealing sometimes when they were short. And he told me from like the bottom of his heart that it was such a powerful thing learning how to deal poker from Truepokerdealer. I really, really appreciated the kindness and the passion that he came to me with when he met me. And he's like, wow, you work here? And I have so much love for Jay. And so he's new as a floor. And when he came to become a floor, he learned dealing recently, and now he's learning flooring because he's got good work ethic and all this stuff. So basically the way that it was, this one table that I was dealing to Brad at was not one of our regular tables at Texas Card House. It didn't have a Poker Atlas tablet. And so all the players that were at this table logged in had to be logged in through the supervisors. And what happened apparently right before I sat down at the table, there was a player that was in seat 5 that had a stack of chips that had gotten up. And I guess that they never gave their card to be logged in at the table to the supervisor. And by the time I got there, their stack of chips was just off to the side of Brad a little bit. I didn't even realize it wasn't Brad's chips, it was a separate stack. And Brad was sitting in seat 5. So it was only 9-handed, but the 10th stack was still there, and I don't know where this player was. So what must have happened was Jay was probably told that he was in charge of keeping track of the time on this particular table. And he must have looked up and seen that there were 9 players at the table, but only 8 people logged into the table. And so he walks over to the table, this new supervisor that I guess he didn't know who Brad was. And he walks over to the table and he says, excuse me, I need your player's card, to Brad. Brad looks at him. And I totally thought he was joking because, it's Brad Owen. And so Brad looks at him and I'm just like, okay, I guess this is funny. And Brad doesn't really say anything. And then Jay says it again, like, I need your player's card. I have to log you in. And so Brad proceeds to very coolly respond by saying, oh, well, we do this thing where I play here for free. I don't actually pay time. It's a part of a promotion that we do. And he looked at him and he didn't really know what to do with that. And he never looked at me. Okay? At first I thought he was kidding. By the time he was getting to this point, I was like, oh, he seriously thinks that Brad is the player that's supposed to be sitting there. And so he's like unintentionally trolling Brad and has absolutely no idea that he's trolling him, asking him for a player's card so he can swipe him for time. And so he goes away sort of confused, and I'm like, okay, he'll figure it out. 5 minutes later or less, he comes back again and he asks Brad for his player's card. And Brad just tries his best to politely explain to Jay, and Jay, he had no idea because Jay didn't realize that there was an extra stack there that just hadn't been swiped in. Brad tries his best to explain to Jay that he doesn't pay time here, which Jay was definitely not expecting that answer at all. And watching him come back to Brad multiple times, and the table sort of spoke up, and I sort of spoke up, and we made it clear, this is Brad Owen, There's another player at the table that's just up from the table right now that isn't swiped in. That was such a funny thing, being there and watching all this stuff happen. Let's see. Greg says, how about that moment in Casino Royale when Les Chiffres won with quad jiggities? I actually don't remember that moment. I have seen that movie. It's been a long time. But Brad has recently been winning with quad with jacks. I saw briefly on his last live stream, or on his last, not a live stream. That's what I'm doing. On his last poker vlog a couple of days ago, that he got it all in against aces and rivered a jack for a full house with pocket jiggities. And some of his language that he uses is what makes him so likable. Like a lot of these poker vloggers, they sort of recap the action. They do it pretty well. Brad does it with a lot of personality in there that adds to these videos. He's a fantastic storyteller of poker is really what it comes down to. He's got a dry sense of humor. And at the table, he's just a very positive guy. He likes being there. I also thought it was really interesting the way that he vlogs at poker was, I thought that he was going to have his phone recording all the time. But what he actually does instead is he waits until he gets a hand that is potentially vlog worthy. And then he reaches into his pocket and he gets his phone in position. And then he'll look at the cards at that moment. And then whenever the relevant time comes, he'll like pick his phone up if he's all in against somebody. I did deal him the same hand twice, and it was a monster hand. And I don't know what's going to make the vlog. I think there's potential for 2 hands that I dealt to make the vlog. But I'll let you guys see that later if you guys want. But it was the same hand twice, and it was one of the better hands is what I dealt him. And let me see. There was one other thing that absolutely fascinated me. So I didn't realize how powerful an amount of pressure it is that he actually puts on somebody to show when he folds. There was a hand that I dealt that Brad ended up folding, and it was a pretty big bet that he folded to after there was a decent amount of money in this pot. And he gave the guy an absolute soul stare, deciding what to do when he was faced with this large bet of 400 something. And after giving that soul stare to this player, which you guys wouldn't see in the vlog, right? Because you're not seeing his face. He decided to fold. He made the comment, I might be making the tightest fold I've made. And then he very smoothly picked up his phone, showed the board and the players' hole cards that were still face down, and said, show the bluff for the vlog. And in that moment, there was so much powerful pressure for the player to show his hand that was really interesting. That's the ultimate amount of pressure that I can see someone putting on someone else to show their hand when he really just wants to know what he was up against, and it makes good content. And the player did show his hand, and it was really interesting what they had. But again, I think there's a reasonable chance, because I think Brad made a pretty big fold there that was the right fold. I think there's a reasonable chance that hand will make the vlog, so that you guys see that on Brad Owen's channel. But I felt like if I don't share these stories now, I'm probably not going to get a chance to do that. So I would jump on. I decided to jump on and sort of talk this stuff through. But yeah, what a touching moment it was watching Brad Owen give one of his like huge fans, an older guy that just was this kind, sweet guy that was fanning out, ear to ear smile being at the table with Brad, then going bust after 2 hands for $75. Brad replacing that money for him and allowing him to be able to continue to stay at the table. It was just really a cool thing. And I mean, you know, we think about Brad coming and playing poker there, but for him to give up $75 completely on his own to somebody, I just would have never expected that he would have done that at a poker table. And I mean, if I'm playing, I'm never going to expect him to do it. I don't know that he's ever done that before. I mean, I can't imagine that he's done that before. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was a really, really, really cool thing that he did. And I get why he's so well liked, because he deserves it. He really does. And I found Andrew Nemi to be really likable as well, just not quite as much as Brad. But he was really likable. He was really smiling. He was really chatty when people were talking to him. And the two of them together are a really good pair. Ruben says, I heard that someone won with a royal flush on the river and beat a straight flush on Tuesday. Wild times at TCH. They were talking about it on the live stream on Wednesday. Yeah, I heard that too. The bad beat there was down yesterday. It was down to like 8,000, which I mean it's not bad. You know, it's completely paid for by the house. There was one hand where Brad gave me $5 Bradley dollars, which generally I'm not allowed to speak about tips, but I feel fine saying that he gave me $5 Bradley dollars, and I put them in my tip box, and I felt very happy about that. I feel like the circumstances were appropriate for that. Like I wouldn't expect, if I'm dealing to Brad, I wouldn't expect $5 Bradley dollars in just any pot, right? I think this pot was appropriate for a $5 Bradley dollar tip. But yeah, the bad beat, I heard about that too. It was, I mean, pretty much everything happened in 2 days, right? So you get Brad on Tuesday, you get Brad and Andrew playing 5, 10, 20 on the TCH live stream, breaking all kinds of records, right? The next day, you've got the meetup game with the two of them, and at the same time, while the meetup game is happening, a live stream is also happening at Texas Card House, where it's their 10, 25, 50 no limit game, because they didn't get to play it on Tuesday because they lowered the stakes a little bit so that Brad and Andrew could play in the game. And it's funny to say that they lowered the stakes for the celebrities, but that is what happened. And at the same time, I mean, these guys, they play a lot of poker, but they're also vloggers. I mean, Brad talks about how it's about 1 hour of work per minute of finished video product. It's a lot of work is what it sounds like. And as somebody who has tried to make a poker vlog himself, I have a bunch of footage, and it's taken me even longer. Brad's probably got it closer down to a science. But Greg says, if I ever play with Brad, I got Bradley dollars in the crosshairs. Absolutely, yeah. Captain Underpair says, Ruben, they mentioned it on Tuesday live stream also. Happened like 5 minutes before the stream began. Yeah, it happened. It did happen on Tuesday. That's the day that he was referring to. And there's just been a lot going on there. And it was a royal flush that beat a straight flush. And, yeah, I mean, I feel determined to deal that bad beat myself. And that's awesome. I don't actually know who the dealer was, but it's awesome for them too. It's awesome for the players. Like $50-something thousand split amongst the entire table is a great thing. Let's see what else happened. It was just a cool environment. I mean, there were a lot of people there the whole time. And that's pretty much all that I wanted to jump on and just share. I figured it made sense to share the story. It was really a cool thing to see, cool experience to have. Really enjoyed being there and sort of seeing, who Brad was. There was another thing that I noticed as I was leaving at midnight. Brad happened to be cashing out around the same time, and there was a player that just really wanted to buy in, and so he comes up to Brad when Brad has his chips and racks ready to cash out, and he asked Brad, who's next in line at the cashier. I happen to be standing there. Hey, he tried to give him $300 in cash and say, hey, can I buy that off you? Buy $300 and then you go cash the rest out while you're waiting. And Brad's like, oh, I can't. I have to record this for my poker vlog. And the guy was all confused. And so then he just jumped as soon as the cashier was open. Instead of letting Brad go next, he just jumped in front of him and went ahead of him. And Brad was like, okay, I mean, go ahead, buddy. You seem to really want to buy in right now. I thought that was cool of him to just sort of let him go. Yeah, it was a cool day overall. I did get to introduce myself to Brad. He did not know who I was, which I was expecting him not to know who I was, of course. Brad's an actual celebrity. I'm Truepokerdealer. It's a much smaller niche of people that work in poker. But that whole experience was great, better than I would have expected, honestly. And the games at Texas Card House were also different. 2-5 at Texas Card House with Match the Stack are usually very big. They usually play closer to 5-10. Yesterday, because there were all these people that were coming from all these places to play 2-5, the games were a bit tighter. and the energy was a bit more positive. Even though it's always pretty positive, it's like, you get a bunch of fans that are just happy to be there, right? So that was pretty cool too. Let's see. Riff Raff Game says, how many times have you dealt a bad beat? I've only dealt one bad beat in my dealing career. I've been in casinos and poker since 2007, but I've only really dealt about maybe a combined 3 years of poker. And some of that was also, I was a table games dealer at the same time. I dealt one bad beat in, I want to say 2008 or so in Washington State. And most of my time has been a supervisor or shift manager, so I'm not dealing a whole lot while I'm doing that. Part of the reason that I'm True Poker Dealer is because I have experience training dealers in addition to dealing, right? Being a trainer is a very different thing than being a dealer. It takes the ability to break down the mechanics to a T and to be able to explain them to somebody that's having trouble. It's a different skill set. And it's more of a supervisor skill set and a manager skill set as well. Let me see. But yeah, that one bad beat that I dealt, it was at a room. It was a 3-table poker room. It was a little over 10,000 for that bad beat, and it was aces full of jacks beaten by I want to say quad fours. And I was tipped very nicely in a poker room where the tips all get spread out between table games and poker because it was such a small casino and poker room. But I mean, it was still a cool experience. Greg says, always good to hear from you, Mark. Appreciate it. It's good to see you guys here. Really, really appreciate that. I can literally just jump on a live stream anytime and start talking about this stuff, and you guys all show up and show support. It's really cool. Let's see. I cannot understate. I cannot overstate. It was really a vibe there. It was like a poker vlogging convention there. I was blown away. There was also somebody there. I mentioned Lexo and Next Gen. There was also someone named like Indian Brothers Poker. I tried looking him up, but I couldn't find him. There were a handful that I never even dealt to that you would just see them around the room. They were really excited. Riff Raff says, fun stuff. Still looking to deal my first bad beat. I have 6 days in a row coming up, so who knows? Nice. Riff Raff, your Mixed Nuts app that is now on iOS. So if you guys are having trouble reading hands in poker, of any type of poker just about, Riff Raff Games has made a very high quality free iOS and Android app that you can download called Mixed Nuts. I'm going to put the name of it right here. The video game consortium says I'm major late. Well, I mean, I didn't plan this. I just sort of showed up. So I'm putting Mixed Nuts here because that's the name of the app where you can practice your hand reading. And it's he sort of gamified it to make it really challenging and fun. I just want to challenge everybody out there to get the quickest score for each Texas Hold'em, Omaha High-Low, Big O High-Low, for all these different games that he has up there. Send me an email with your quickest score, Marc at Truepokerdealer.com. Email me your quickest, your best score. It'll show up at the end. You get 10 hands, and then it shows you your score on there. Show me your best scores. I'm just curious how quick we can get this. I like the idea of gamifying this a bit and making it fun. And sort of seeing what we come up with. And whoever gets the fastest one, I will shout out in my next live stream. That's a QA. And I'll try to beat it live. And I'll probably try to go sort of fast and sort of, cheat it a bit, because I know that's what you guys are going to do, because you're not worried about the times that you get it wrong. You're just going to like, what is it? It's this. What is it? It's this. I'm going to see if I can beat whatever your best score is for each game in my next live stream. So Mixed Nuts is the name of the app on iOS and Android, and see if you can beat me for each of the games, or I'll see if I can beat you. Send me your screenshots of your best overall score in Mixed Nuts on iOS. It's an app you can download iOS and Android. And big thanks to Riff Raff Games for putting the time into creating this amazing hand reading tool. So look, I've got a couple more minutes. if anybody has any questions or wants to say anything, I'll respond to it. And this was sort of a quick, like, hello, here's what happened, and I'm out. If anybody wants a couple questions, I'll answer them, and if not, I will take off. But, you know, definitely send me an email if you have a score that you're proud of. What was my last? I actually don't know what my last score was. You know what? I might as well. I'll show myself doing this right here. Real quick before I go, I will show this. You guys will watch me do it. And how do I get this in here? Window capture, all right. And I gotta find it. So I'm gonna give a demo of mixed nuts so you guys can see it. And let's see. All right. It's not showing up. Why not? Yeah, I'll just add a new one. I see a couple of questions coming in too. Let me get those as well. Oh, here we go. Let's make it a little smaller so it'll show up here. All right. So again, send me your best score for this, and I will try to beat it for each of these games on my next live stream. Before I give an example of one of these, we can look at these comments. Riffraff says, at the video gamer consortium, Marc dealt Brad some monsters. I may have. I dealt two hands that have a reasonable chance of making the vlog. I would be surprised if both of these don't make the vlog, but at least one of them will probably make it. And Michael said, I remember learning how to pitch from your videos. I appreciate that. Pitching and shuffling, you know, I had people asking me the other day what videos had the most views, and you know, I told them my shuffle video is almost at 1 million. I would love to cross 1 million. It's a really cool feeling. Like, I feel very humbled by that. The other ones are in the multiple 100,000 range. Captain Underpair says, another vlogger close to broke will be at Dallas TCH on Monday and Tuesday. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's listen, it's amazing how many people have blown up on there. And they get blown up pretty quick. I mean, I've got like 17,000 subscribers on YouTube. I feel really appreciative of that. It's a niche market, obviously, for dealing as opposed to playing poker. There's a lot of poker players out there. But these guys, they get... That's nothing for a lot of these poker vloggers, like real quick. Brad's up to 400 and something thousand subs. Michael says, I usually only deal at my friends' home games, but even then it's really fun to sling the cards properly. Absolutely. All right, here we go. So what's a reasonable time? Or what game should we do here? Let's do so many people. I'm just gonna do Texas Hold'em because I feel like everybody can sort of relate to this game. And like I said, on my next live stream, anybody that emails me their best score, and you'll understand what that means in a second. Oh, you want to do Badusi? All right, we'll do Badusi. Why not? So I'm gonna go a little bit slower in this one so that we can try to get it right, and then you guys can get the sense of it. We're gonna do Badusi, which, just so you guys know, in Badusi, half the pot goes to Badugi, half the pot goes to the deuce to 7 hand. All right, easiest way to win a lot: fill in an inside straight on the river. Yes, that is a very good way to win. I know somebody who did that in a tournament in Pompano at the Isle over and over again, and the other players were not so happy, and it was really fun to watch. And yes, this is the person that did it. All right, so here we go. Hand number 1. So we're looking for The Badoogie first, I'm going to say I'm looking for all 4 suits. Are all 4 suits present in any of them? I see one right here. This is the only one. So this is a Badoogie. They win. Now deuce to 7. What do we got? We've got, geez, 10s are the best so far. 4s are the best so far. Right here. All right. Next. So we've got looking for all 4 suits. I see it right here. Do I have all 4 suits somewhere else? Not the second one. Yes to the third one. So what's the lowest of the 4 suits? We've got a 6 low. That's going to be tough to beat. Yeah, they're not beating that. All 4 suits here, but it's a jack. And then, nope. So the 6 right here is a real good Badoogie. And then the deuce to 7 is, this is a king. No, wait, this is an ace. Oh, wait. Yeah. Badoogie to aces. Oh, no, wait. Oh, gosh. So now I don't even remember. If I was going to be dealing Badoosie, I would learn if I think the ace is high for the Badoogie hand in Badoosie, and for Badacey and for regular Badoogie, I think the ace is low. So now I have to look at this as an ace, which I don't think is as good, and I think this is the better Badoogie hand. Yeah, exactly. So I had to remember that for a second. So here's the winning Badoogie hand. I think we got heart, club, diamond, so it's a jack. This is a 10 low. All right. Now the deuce to 7 hand. I see an ace low. I see a pair. I see a 10 low. This looks like it's going to scoop. All right. So here we go. We've got, now, just so anyone doesn't know, in Badoogie, it's 4 different suits, the lowest that you can get. And let's see. So I don't see spades. I don't see clubs. I don't see hearts. I see all 4. And I don't see diamond. All right, so this is the Badoogie because it has a club, a heart. So if you have a 4-card Badoogie, it's going to beat everybody that doesn't have a 4-card Badoogie, which is what's the case in here. And actually, let me just make sure that none of these are paired. They're not. And then this is actually a 9 low. It's probably going to scoop. Let me just check. I see an ace here. I see a pair here. I see a jack here. I see aces. So yeah, this is a scoop. All right, here we've got, I'm looking for all 4 suits. I don't see all 4 suits. That makes this a challenge. Now I got to look for 3 suits. I see a jack low for 3 suits. So if you don't have someone that has all 4 suits, you go to the next best thing. So this is going to be a 7 for tray. This is a, nope, not lower than that. 7 for tray. 7 for tray. All right, so this is the best Badoogie hand. And then the deuce to 7, that's 2 pair. No, that's a pair of jacks. No, this is a queen. This is a 9. The 9. So here we've got, and try to do this along with me if you know these games. This is pretty challenging though. Here we've got a 4-card, and this is also a 4-card, but this is a 4-card ace. This is a 4-card 8, so this is the best Badoogie. And then here we've got a jack low. This is a jack 8. All right, so we got jack 8 is the best so far, and that is the winner. This one scoops. Here we've got, again, send your best times for each of these to me, and I'll try to beat it on my next stream. We'll see what we can do. Here we've got a 4-card ace. Do I see better than a 4-card ace? I see a 4-card 10. And yeah, so this is the best Badoogie hand. And now what's the best? Threes. It looks like 3s is the best. Yep, the best deuce to 7 hand is 3s. And here we've got, yikes. I see a 4-card here. This is the only 4-card. I got, yeah, all 4 suits. So 7, this is a 7 low for a Badoogie, it's good. And then here we've got, I mean, that's a pair of deuces, a pair of 8s, jacks, 9s. So this is interesting. This is a straight, and in deuce to 7, this is not a good hand. But in normal high-low, is a great hand. So it looks like pair of deuces is the strongest weak hand, if that makes sense. It's and then here we have, let me see, I'm looking for the 4 suits. I see 4 suits here. And I see 4 suits here, but this is an ace. This is a 10. So this looks like the best Badoogie hand. And then what is the best deuce to 7? An ace low, a jack low. That's a pair. This is an ace. Looks like a jack. And 2 more hands. Almost done here. Here's a 4-card ace. Here is a 4-card 9. This will probably end up being it. Yeah. Badoogie. And then here we have, let's see, pair of 7s, pair of 8s, pair of aces, pair of 3s. Oh, we got a jack here. And then this last one we have, let's see. There's no 4-card Badoogie, so we got to go for a 3-card now. So what's the lowest 3 separate suited cards? We got an 8 trade deuce. Here we've got, that's better than an 8-5. We've got a 7, nope. We've got an 8-4 tray, it's not as good. And we got a 9. So this is the best Badoogie hand. And then the best deuce to 7 hand, this is a queen low. This is a jack low. This is a... Jack low wins. All right. So I'm only going to count it if every single one of these is correct. So you can have 0 errors for me to count it as a successful challenge. All right. But I challenge you to come up with the best one. And here's the thing. I want you to go on the honor system. I want you to please not sort the cards. I want you to please not click on the cards in order to see what the hands are. All right. If you're doing that, if I see scores that are ridiculous for these games, I'm gonna be like, all right, there's some cheating going on. Riff Raff, it would be pretty cool if you could, in the summary, show whether or not somebody sorted and like put a little S next to hand 1 if they sorted, or a little R next to hand 1 if they revealed, right? Something like that would be cool. So the reason I wanted to create this challenge is because it can lead to cool improvements to gamify this in a fun way. Why not, right? Riff Raff says Marc goes perfect in Badusi. He's the best. Appreciate that. SI, I remember your lives used to be Tuesdays. I haven't been able to catch you almost all of May. Is this your new time? Sorry if it's a repeat question. I don't know what happened to my last question. So this was just a completely impromptu live stream. I did stream on Tuesday. I am still doing Tuesdays, but I just dealt to Brad Owen and Andrew Nemi last night, and it was a cool experience, so I wanted to share the story of what happened, which is why I came on the live stream now. Also, this coming Tuesday, I'm going to be unavailable. It's a travel day for me, so I just decided I would add this extra piece of content. But if you want, you can. This past Tuesday, a couple days ago, was a pretty interesting live stream for what it's worth. I told a couple of stories that I got a lot of positive feedback about. One of them was about shot takers, someone that as a 2-5 player was constantly taking shots at the game and the dealer in order to save little bits of money here and there. A couple interesting conversations, some cool questions. So, it's worth going to check that out. Riff Raff says, I was thinking about that. Yeah, also maybe an option where you could set a hardcore mode where the sort reveal options aren't available. I like it. SI says, no way, nice. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes. They must have stacked everyone. I actually have no idea how Andrew did in the session. And Brad, I think he was up a little bit. I'm not sure. I did watch him cash out, but I have no idea how much he was in for. But yeah, you caught me at the very, very end of this stream. This stream was not so much of a QA as much as it was me just telling my story about what happened. And then I sort of decided I wanted to do this mixed nuts challenge so that people could understand it and submit their best times to me And again, this is Mixed Nuts. You can just download this on Android or iOS on your phone and play there. That is all you need to do. And let's see here. All right, so Zionist says the Rampage hand was crazy. To know if that's your channel. I'm not sure what the Rampage hand was. I do know who Rampage is. I've emailed him back and forth a little bit, talking about YouTube stuff. He's a really good guy, but I don't know what the hand is that you're talking about. But all right, I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate you all coming, spending a little bit more time with me in this like impromptu. You said Card House, you bluffed 10K. I think that was in Austin. I don't believe that Rampage came to Dallas. I think that was in a different Texas Card House location. There are 4 Texas Card House locations. And yeah, I mean, you can see Texas Card House. It's on this side in the background here. I like the fact that my time there is so enjoyable when I do go and jump in the box. And they're really good to me. And so I like giving them the extra publicity through my channel because I feel like they deserve it. They do a great job. The general manager in Dallas is amazing. You guys might not appreciate this, but last night while everything was going on, the general manager took it upon himself to make sure everything was as smooth as possible, and he was actually up on the mic, seating players sometimes, just helping out where it made sense to, and really keeping things under control in a really, really powerful way. Things are usually run really well at Texas Card House in Dallas, and he's someone that I've known for years, and he's very, very, very on point, and he did a great job of facilitating everything during those sessions. It was just a really cool situation. But yeah, I did not see the Rampage 10K bluff. I do sort of remember seeing a headline for that on YouTube as one of my suggested videos because I am subscribed to him. I have seen reasonable number of his videos and enjoyed them for sure. He's another one, Rampage, that does a great job with storytelling. It's more than just what happened in the poker hands. He adds some personality to it. Brad Owen does it really, really well. Rampage does it really well, I would say. It's just great overall. But appreciate you guys for coming to watch. I'm going to jump off now. I've got stuff I got to do. This was impromptu because I just wanted to get these stories out while they were fresh, since I'm not going to stream for a couple weeks. But I'll be back, not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. And, just like now, you never know. Maybe I'll do another random one at some point. But appreciate you guys. Take it easy.